Good morning, guys. Welcome to the first of many sessions done via remote teaching. This is weird to me as is to you guys, so we're just gonna have to kind of like get through it together. Remote teaching is something alien concept to most of us. So yeah, let's just get into it. So on the sheet of paper in front of you is a simple solving linear equation that involves fractions. Okay, so first things first, I'd like you to kind of like pause the video maybe for 2-3 minutes, have a bash, and so yeah, I'm going to stop talking for about 10 seconds and then I'm going to start going through the solution. So if you want to pause the video and then we'll talk our way through it. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to look to solve this by cross multiplying both sides by the 3. So the 3 will be multiplied over to this side, and the 4 will be cross multiplied to this side. Okay, so what we're going to get is the following line. Now keep it nice and neat. Okay, so notice I'm using blank paper, and again it takes practice, I know, but if you write as neat as I do, yeah, you will be fine. So this goes to most of the boys in the class. Okay, so 4 goes to this side, I get 4 bracket x plus 1, 3 to this side, 3 bracket x minus 1. Okay, simple algebra skills, multiply outside the brackets, so be careful of signs. 4x plus 4 equals 3x minus 3. Okay, you now want to balance the equation. In other words, get rid of the 3x on this side because it's a smaller x, so take away 3x here. At the same time, you want to take away the 4 here. Okay, so show you different methods while I'm teaching you guys like this. So if I take that to that side, that's minus 3x. If I take this to this side, it's minus 4. So 4x minus 3x is just an x. Minus 3 take away 4 is minus 7, and you're done. Okay, so you might want to check that. So let's see, minus 7 times, so you can check it. Look, so 4 times minus 7 is minus 28. Add 4, well, what's that give me? That's minus 24. On this side, if I want to check my maths, yeah, so 3 times minus 7 is minus 21. If I take away 3, I also get minus 24. So these two answers match up. Okay, so you can always check out your maths if it works. Okay, again at the same time I'm going to cross multiply. Please note there is minus signs involved here, and the q is in the back to front. Okay, so pushing this aside, so I get 6 bracket 5q minus 9 equals 2 bracket 3 minus 2q. Okay, so I've got 30q minus, that's 54. 2 times 3 is 6. Now 2 times minus 2q is minus 4q. Right? So again, I showed you something different over here with the kind of like, it's a float and change sign method. Here, if I just write underneath what I'm doing, so here I'm going to add 4q to cancel these two out because that's the smaller one of the two. So if I do that on this side, I must do the same there. So I'll do it in 2 steps. So I've got 34q minus 54 equals 6. Right, let's add 54 now to both sides. So plus 54. And a plus of 54 here. So these two cancel out. What I'm left with is 34q equals 60. Q is 60 over 34. Be in a good habit of simplifying things down. Please don't try to use a calculator. Yeah, but if you do it, you should get 30 over 17. Okay. Again, you can go around checking it. However, take my word for it, that is actually correct. Okay, so what we're doing. So this is going to be the first of 3 lessons involving solving algebraic fractions. Now, this obviously is the easier kind of like stuff that I'm going to show you today. The more practice you get at it, the better you become. Okay, guaranteed you're going to get something of this form in your exams, whether it's this year or next year. Okay, so the first example, all right, if I just kind of move this down, right, looks ominous, right? But actually, if you look very closely, if I cover the 20 up, yeah, that is something you guys have been seeing, yeah, in the past few lessons with me. The 20 is something brand new. Now, the way to do this, to deal with this, is to simplify this as a common denominator here on the left, right? So if you look very closely, I've got 4x and x. Essentially, the x's are common. All that's missing on this side is that 4. So if I times this all by 4, yeah, this makes things a lot easier. Now you can use the butterfly method, so I can go 4x times x to get a common denominator, and then cross multiply, so the 7 times x, 4x times 2. Now, you can do that. The problem is you'll need to simplify down in a bit. Okay, so what I will show you is I'll show you both methods and ask you, you guys get to pick which method you prefer. Right, so let's show you the butterfly method just in case. Okay, so on the left, I'll call it the butterfly method. Okay, so what we get is 4x times x is 4x squared. Okay, that's that times that to give me that. Okay, 7 times x, 7x. Now it's important you keep the order the right way, especially if that becomes a minus. Okay, so you must keep the order right. So 7 times x gives me that 7x. Okay, so it's a plus sign between it. So 4x times x, again, is 4x squared over, so 4x times 2 is 8x. Right, leave the 20 alone. So what I'm going to do is tidy this up. So 4x squared is my common denominator over, well, 7x times 8x, 7x add 8x is 15x. Now at this point, yeah, notice the equal signs are nicely underneath each other. Notice at this point the x's are common. So I can cancel that x with one of these, because x squared, remind yourselves, yes, x times x. So one of these x's will cancel. So what I'll get actually is 15 over 4x. That equals 20. Now you're in a position to solve. Okay, now before you even do that, I'm going to just quickly, on this right hand side, show you the other way. Just look for a common denominator. Right, so all I'm going to do, right, if I look back up here, as I said, that x and that x are common. So all this one needed was to multiply by 4. So watch what happens. Okay, so if I do this, I'll get 7x over, not 7x, dropping a step because I look to the left. I get 7 over 4x. Now if I times this by 4, top and bottom, so I can doodle now on this. So times that by 4, times that by 4, I get 8 over 4x. Don't forget the 20's there. If I follow through, common denominator means I can just add the numerator, sorry. I get 15 over 4x. 20. Same thing, right? Just remember in the butterfly method, you have to simplify down. Okay? Now, you might get away without just not simplifying when you come to solving it. So now both of these are at the right position. So what I can do is I'm actually going to kind of say, come over this side and follow the method, okay? Because I've got more space. So this is similar to our starter question. All I'm going to do is take the 4x here and multiply it up here, right? Because remember, the opposite of dividing by something is to multiply. So all I'm going to do, take it up there and times it by 4x. So 20 times 4x is 80x. That equals my 15. Okay, now as you do these, you will get some weird and wonderful answers. Okay, so divide both sides now by 80. So 15 over 80. Well, they're both in the 5 times table, so that's 3 over, well, that's 1. There's 3 left over, 16. X. You're done. Okay? And it does work if you want to try and substitute it back in using a calculator. Sorry. You can substitute that value there back into here. Right? And then it should equal that 20 there. Okay, so I'm just going to rub this bit out because that's me showing my working out. Okay, so there's my first example. Alright, so that's the kind of bronze level stuff, guys, that I expect you guys to be able to do by today. However, for those who want a little bit of a challenge, right? So I'm looking to the top end of the class. Right, how do we do things like this? Again, it's all about looking for a common denominator, right? So if I look very closely here, I've got 2 and 10, right? So again, think about it very carefully. If I multiply this by 5, I will get this to 10, right? So all I'm going to do, again, is I'm going to multiply all this fraction here by 5. It's equivalent fractions. Okay, you can cross multiply. It just involves you simplifying down, okay? So, ignore the 11, right? All I'm going to do is times this by 5, or times this by 5, right? So, that's what I'm going to do. So, times by 5, times by 5, okay? So, I think I've got a bit of jet lag there. Right, so plus, leave the second fraction alone. Right, so what I get is I get 10 here on my denominator. So 5 times all this. So what that means is this. So I'll show you my full working out. Right, so that means 5 times everything here in the numerator. So if you multiply it correctly, you got 40x plus 20, right, over 10. Plus 6x minus 2 over 10 equals 11. So common denominator now means I can add the top. So I'm going to take an extra line and just write it's 40x plus 20 plus, now be very careful of signs. Now most students will forget this, right? There's a plus and a negative, right? This does not turn to a positive because you've got to remember a positive and a negative is a negative. So keep this one's a negative. So 6x minus 2 equals, well, that is over 10. So I just need to sharpen my pencil. Right, so tidy up the numerator. Right, most people might be able to skip a line here, but I'm going to show my full working out. So I've got 40x plus 6x. Well, that's 46x. 20 minus 2 happens to be minus positive 18. Right, that's all over 10. Right, so again, it's like the last example. Cross multiply, then look to solve it, and by balancing the equation correctly. So 10 times 11 is 110. That's what 46x plus 18 is. Okay, let's take away 18 from both sides. What are we left with? Well, take away 10 will give me 100. Take away 8 happens to be 92. Right, and if I double 46, I get to 92. So x has to be 2. And it is in this case. Again, I could put this solution all the way back up to here into this original problem. Right, and I should get 11 if I do it right. In fact, if I quickly run through it, 2 times 8 is 16 plus 2, well, sorry, plus 4 happens to be 20, divided by 2 is 10, right, so 10's there, sorry, 10's there, 2 times 6 is 12, minus 2 is 10, 10 divided by 10 is 1, 10 plus 1 is 11, my solution works. Okay, so that is the last of my examples. Okay, so obviously what I want you guys now to do is to go through this, make sure you understand it, have a go at the questions. I will set 5 questions which I would like to be submitted in by photograph to me by the end of today. Right, it is part of my assessment to make sure you guys are doing the work as assigned. Please note that if work is not completed and submitted to me by the end of today and checked and verified by myself, I will put it into the log, and then the tutor will be calling home and speaking to your parents as to why the work's not been completed. Your expectation is that you guys are continuing to learn and study, right? The year 11's a different story, however we are dealing with them in a separate case, right? It's in your best interest, guys, stay on top of your studies. Okay, any questions, drop me an email, or use the ShowMyHomework kind of like feedback to teachers in order to get some help. Okay, thank you.